In a city that never stops changing, where legendary storefronts can disappear overnight, a handful of dynasties have managed to stand the test of time. They're the bedrock of New York, the institutions woven into the very fabric of the five boroughs. Their stories don't start in boardrooms. They start on the crowded streets of the Lower East Side, with little more than a pushcart and a dream. They survived depressions, recessions, and the constant march of progress, growing from humble immigrant beginnings into empires that define New York's skyline and its soul. These aren't just businesses, they're legacies, passed from one generation to the next, built on resilience, tradition, and an unbreakable family bond. These are the 10 biggest Jewish family businesses that helped build New York, and their stories are unbelievable. Number 10. Mendel Goldberg Fabrics. Our countdown begins on a quiet block of Hester Street, inside a shop that holds the secrets of runway couture and Broadway stages. For over 130 years, the world's most demanding designers have made a pilgrimage to this spot, searching for textiles so exquisite they simply can't be found anywhere else. This is Mendel Goldberg Fabrics, a fourth-generation dynasty built one thread at a time. The story starts in 1890. Mendel Goldberg, an immigrant fresh from Poland, saw an opportunity in the chaos of the Lower East Side's garment district. He started with a simple wooden pushcart. He didn't sell lavish silks. He collected the discarded ends of thread spools from local tailors and sold them to the community. It was a business born of pure hustle. That pushcart eventually became a store at 72 Hester Street, a spot the family has held ever since. But the business was destined to change with each generation. The torch passed to Mendel's son, Alexander, who got into the booming fur trade by selling silk linings for luxury coats. His son, Samuel, took it even further. Joining the business at just 14, Samuel was a natural salesman, making Mendel Goldberg Fabrics a key supplier to department store giants like Macy's and Gimbel's back when most Americans still made their own clothes. The biggest shift, though, came with the fourth generation. When Samuel's daughter, Alice Goldberg, took over, she infused the shop with her own sophisticated style. As she put it, "I'm an Upper East Side girl, so I just did what I knew. I bought for the store like I bought for my closet." She started flying solo to elite textile mills in Europe, sourcing rare, high-end couture fabrics that can cost over $1,000 a yard. Today, her vision is reflected in the client list. Costume designers from hits like The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel and Bridgerton scour the shelves, knowing they'll find something totally unique. Now, a fifth generation is involved, ensuring the legacy that began with a pushcart of thread will keep dressing the world's most imaginative creations. Number 9. Yonah Schimmel's Knish Bakery. From the delicate world of couture, we travel just a few blocks over to East Houston Street for a taste of old New York that has remained virtually unchanged for over a century. A simple sign, a humble storefront, and a smell that has welcomed generations of New Yorkers. This is Yonah Schimmel's Knish Bakery, an institution as fundamental to the Lower East Side as the tenements themselves. The Nish's journey to New York icon starts with a Romanian rabbi named Yonah Schimmel around 1890. He and his wife started selling their homemade potato and kasha dumplings from a pushcart, first in Coney Island, then on the packed streets of the Lower East Side. The Nish was perfect for a neighborhood of immigrants, hearty, cheap, and delicious. Yonah's Nishes got so popular that by 1910, he went into business with his cousin, Joseph Berger, and opened a permanent shop on East Houston Street. Soon after, the business moved across the street to its current spot at number 137, where it's been serving its famous round, baked not fried nishes ever since. Though Yonah himself left the business, his cousin's family kept the name, knowing it was already a symbol of tradition. Today, the bakery is owned and operated by Yona's great-nephew, Alex Wolfman, keeping the legacy firmly in the family. Stepping inside Yona Schimmel's is like stepping back in time. The original dumbwaiter still lifts niches from the basement kitchen. The worn wooden floors creak underfoot. And the menu is still anchored by the classic potato recipe that started it all. This isn't just a restaurant. It's a cultural landmark. It's been said that for 50 years, no New York politician could get elected without a photo op here, niche in hand. It's been a backdrop in films and a pilgrimage site for everyone from Eleanor Roosevelt to Larry David. In a neighborhood of constant change, Yona Schimmel's remains a steadfast, delicious link to the city's immigrant soul. Number 8. Moscot Eyewear. While food nourished the city, another family business was literally shaping its vision. For over a century, from a pushcart on Orchard Street to global fashion runways, one name has defined New York eyewear. They aren't just opticians, they're storytellers, crafting frames worn by icons from Andy Warhol to Johnny Depp. This is Moscot, a 5-generation dynasty that proved a neighborhood optician could become a worldwide phenomenon. The story begins in 1899, when Hyman Moschot, an immigrant from Eastern Europe, arrived at Ellis Island. A simple clerical error changed his last name to Moscot, a name that would one day become iconic. Hyman was an optician and saw a need in the immigrant communities of the Lower East Side. He got a pushcart and started selling ready-made eyeglasses up and down Orchard Street. By 1915, he had enough loyal customers to open his first shop at 94 Rivington Street. The torch passed to Hyman's son, Saul, who joined the business at 15. In 1936, he moved the shop to its legendary location at 118 Orchard Street, where it would stay for nearly 80 years. Each generation added a new layer. Saul's son, Joel, was the charming face of the business. Joel's son, Dr. Harvey Moscot, brought his clinical expertise as an optometrist and is now the CEO. And today, the 5th generation, Harvey's son, Zach, a trained industrial designer, is the chief design officer, blending the brand's history with modern style. What makes Moscot last? It's their commitment to what Harvey calls classiconic design, a mix of classic and iconic. Their frames aren't just functional, they're pieces of New York history, many pulled directly from the family's archives. They survived the Great Depression and the rise of global chains by staying true to who they are. They still call themselves a neighborhood optician, even with flagship stores in London and Rome. As Zach Moscot has said, their DNA is tied to the Lower East Side. It's the inspiration for every frame they design. The story of Moscot is a masterclass in how to honor the past while framing the future. Number 7. Zabar's We Now Head Uptown, to a corner of Broadway and 80th Street that is a world unto itself. To the uninitiated, it might look like chaos. To New Yorkers, it's a cathedral of food. This is Zabar's, the undisputed king of the Upper West Side appetizing scene and a 4-generation empire built on quality, hustle, and thousands of pounds of smoked fish. The story begins with a harrowing escape. In the early 1920s, Louis Zabar fled Ukraine after his father was murdered in a pogrom. He arrived in New York and, like so many others, started small by renting a stall in a Brooklyn market. In 1934, Louis and his wife, Lillian, rented a 22-foot wide counter in a market on the Upper West Side to sell smoked fish. Louis was obsessed with quality. He personally inspected the fish at the smokehouses, rejecting far more than he accepted, and he roasted his own coffee to ensure the perfect flavor. By the time he passed away in 1950, he owned 10 markets. After his death, his sons, Saul and Stanley, took over. Along with their visionary partner, Murray Klein, They transformed Zabar's from a simple counter into the sprawling emporium it is today. Zabar's has always been an innovator. In the 60s, it was the first store in America to sell the newfangled drip coffee makers. In the 70s, they introduced New Yorkers to then exotic things like sun-dried tomatoes. Today, the store spans nearly an entire city block. The family is still at the helm. While the family and the city mourned the passing of Saul Zabar in 2024, his brother Stanley and the next generations are still there, hand-slicing lox and overseeing the roasting of 400,000 pounds of coffee a year, carrying on the incredible legacy the brothers built. The late Nora Ephron once wrote that Zabar's had one foot in the old world and the other in the vanguard. That perfect balance has made Zabar's not just a store, but a New York way of life. Number 6. B&H Photo Video. From the world of food, we pivot to an empire built on capturing moments. In the heart of Midtown stands a superstore unlike any other. It's a 3-story behemoth of technology, with a wild system of conveyor belts on the ceiling and a staff whose knowledge is legendary. This is B&H Photo Video, the largest non-chain photo and video retailer in the U.S., founded by a husband and wife in 1973. The B and the H stand for Blimmy and Herman Schreiber, the couple who started the business as a small film shop in Tribeca. It was a classic mom and pop shop for the city's pro photographers. As their reputation grew, they moved to the Photo District on 17th Street. The real game changer came in 1997 when B&H moved to its massive location on 34th Street. This wasn't just a bigger store, it was a revolution in retail. The Schreibers, who are Satmar, Hasidic Jews, built the business around their faith. The store closes on Shabbat and all Jewish holidays, a non-negotiable principle from day one. They installed a famously efficient system where a complex network of overhead conveyor belts retrieves your items from the stockrooms and delivers them right to checkout. That system, combined with a highly knowledgeable, non-commissioned sales staff, created a shopping experience that was fast, efficient, and deeply trusted. Today, B&H is a global powerhouse. While it only has one physical store, its website is one of the largest e-commerce operations in the country, shipping over 400,000 different products all over the world. In an age where Amazon has crushed so many retailers, B&H hasn't just survived, it has thrived. It's an essential institution for anyone with a camera, from hobbyists to Hollywood cinematographers. The story of B&H shows how a business built on clear principles and real expertise can grow from a tiny film shop into an undisputed industry titan. Number 5. Russ and Daughters. We return now to the Lower East Side, to the undisputed mothership of appetizing culture. A place so iconic it's a pilgrimage site for food lovers. This is a story of herring, of heritage, and of the daughters who transformed their father's business into a global symbol of Jewish cuisine. This is the story of Russ and Daughters. Like so many others, this story starts with a pushcart. In 1907, Joel Russ, a Jewish immigrant from Poland, began selling schmaltz herring from a cart to support his family. He soon saved enough to trade the cart for a horse and wagon, and in 1914 opened his own storefront. In 1920, he moved the shop to its current home at 179 East Houston Street, where it has been for over a century. But the most pivotal moment came in 1933. Joel Russ had no sons to carry on the business. Instead, he had 3 sharp, capable daughters, Hattie, Ida, and Anne. In a move that was both progressive and brilliant, he made them full partners and officially changed the sign to Russ and Daughters, the first business in the country to have "and Daughters" in its name. His daughters were known as the Sturgeon Queens, and their presence behind the counter became as iconic as the perfectly sliced lox. The business was passed down, eventually landing with the third generation, Mark Russ Fetterman. But as the 21st century began, the future was uncertain. That's when the fourth generation stepped up. Mark's daughter, Nikki Russ Fetterman, and her cousin, Josh Russ Tupper, left their own careers to take over. They knew they weren't just inheriting a store, they were becoming custodians of a cultural institution. Under their leadership, Russ and Daughters has had a remarkable renaissance. They've honored the past while embracing the future, expanding with a sit-down cafe, an outpost at the Brooklyn Navy Yard, and nationwide shipping. They have meticulously preserved the Hamish, or unpretentious and homey, feeling of the original shop. It's a place built on the idea that food is memory, tradition, and love. The story of Russ and Daughters is more than a success story. It's a powerful tale of family, adaptation, and the enduring power of a good piece of herring. Number 4. The Tisch family. Lowe's Corporation. We now move from businesses famous for their storefronts to an empire that operates on a global scale, a diversified conglomerate built by two brothers from Brooklyn. Their name is on hotels, insurance companies, and even an NFL team. This is the Tisch family, and their company, Lowe's Corporation, represents a dynasty of staggering proportions. The story begins not in Manhattan, but in New Jersey. In 1946, Lawrence Larry Tisch used a $125,000 investment from his parents to buy a resort hotel. He was soon joined by his younger brother, Preston Robert Bob Tisch. They were a perfect team. Larry was the financial wizard, a master of strategy, while Bob was the operational genius, a natural at management. Their hotel business boomed. They bought up properties in Atlantic City and the Catskills, but their ambitions were much bigger. In 1959, an antitrust ruling forced the movie studio MGM to sell off its theater chain, Loews Theaters. The Tisch brothers saw their chance. They started buying up stock, and by 1960, they had control of the entire company. This was the beginning of Lowe's Corporation. What came next was a masterclass in value investing. The Tisch brothers got a reputation for buying struggling companies and turning them into profitable assets. In 1968, they acquired Lorillard, America's oldest tobacco company. In 1974, they bought a controlling stake in the nearly bankrupt insurance giant CNA Financial and nursed it back to health. They bought Bulova watches, offshore drilling firms, and in 1986, Larry Tisch even took over as CEO of the TV network CBS. The family's influence even extends to sports. In 1991, Bob Tisch purchased 50% of the New York Giants for $75 million. Today, the team is worth over $6 billion. The leadership of Lowe's has now passed to the next generation, with Larry's sons, James and Andrew, and Bob's son, Jonathan, running the corporation. From a single hotel in the woods, the Tisch brothers built a multi-billion-dollar empire that stands as one of the great family dynasties in American business. Number 3. The Rudin family. From a diversified conglomerate, we turn to an empire built of steel, glass, and concrete. For over a century, one family has been instrumental in shaping the physical landscape of Manhattan, building and managing millions of square feet of iconic real estate. They are the Rudin family, a dynasty whose commitment to New York City runs as deep as the foundations of their skyscrapers. The Rudin story begins in the late 19th century, when Louis Rudinsky, an immigrant from a small village in modern-day Belarus, arrived on the Lower East Side with almost nothing. He started as a grocer, but in 1905, he made his first real estate investment, buying a property on East 54th Street. Family legend says he bought it sight unseen just because he heard John D. Rockefeller owned land on the same block. In 1925, his son, Samuel, founded Rudin Management Company. The Rudins operated on a simple but powerful principle. They almost never sold. They focused on building, owning, and managing high-quality buildings in New York. The leadership passed from Samuel to his sons, Jack and Louis, who took the firm to new heights. Together, they developed premier properties like 345 Park Avenue. But the Rudin family's biggest impact might not be measured in square footage. They became known as Mr. New York for their incredible civic duty. In 1975, when New York City was on the brink of bankruptcy, it was Louis Rudin who stepped up. He rallied the city's business leaders and convinced them to prepay over $600 million in property taxes, act that gave the city the cash it needed to avoid collapse. The family was also instrumental in expanding the NYC Marathon into a 5-borough event. Today, the firm is led by the third and fourth generations, with Samuel's grandsons, Bill and Eric, as co-chairmen, and their children now appointed as co-CEOs. The Rudin portfolio comprises nearly 15 million square feet of space. More than just builders, the Rudins are stewards of New York, a family that has consistently reinvested its success back into the city it helped build. Number 2. The Newhouse family, Advance Publications. While some families built the city's structures, our number 2 dynasty built something just as powerful: the cultural conversation. They are the quiet giants of the media world, an empire that has dictated what we read, what we wear, and what we talk about. They are the Newhouse family, and their company, Advance Publications, is the force behind some of the most influential magazines in history. The empire began with one man, Samuel Irving Newhouse. He started as a 17-year-old office boy for a small-time judge in Bayonne, New Jersey. The judge had acquired the failing local paper, the Bayonne Times, and put young Sam in charge. Newhouse was a prodigy. He slashed costs, boosted ads, and made the paper profitable. In 1922, he bought his first paper, the Staten Island Advance, which became the cornerstone of his empire. Newhouse's strategy was simple: buy struggling newspapers and make them profitable. He was famously frugal, running his national empire from a simple briefcase. But his most transformative move came in 1959. As an anniversary gift for his wife, Mitzi, who loved Vogue magazine, Sam Newhouse bought its publisher, Condé Nast, for $5 million. With that one purchase, the Newhouse family became arbiters of taste. When Sam passed away in 1979, the empire went to his 2 sons. Donald took over the newspaper division, while Samuel Cy Newhouse Jr. took the magazines. Cy was a quiet man, but his impact was immense. He was a patient investor in quality journalism. He revived Vanity Fair in 1983, decades after it had closed, and he acquired and nurtured The New Yorker, turning it into the powerhouse it is today. Today, Advance Publications is still privately controlled by the Newhouse family. Its holdings include Condé Nast, which publishes dozens of iconic titles, as well as major stakes in companies like Warner Bros. Discovery and Reddit. From a single failing local paper, the Newhouse family built a global media dynasty that has profoundly shaped American culture for a century. Number 1, the Durst Organization. We've arrived at number 1. We've seen empires of food, fashion, and media, but our top spot goes to a family whose name is synonymous with the New York City skyline itself. They are a dynasty that rose from a tailor's shop to the pinnacle of real estate. A family that helped rebuild the city after its darkest day. They are the Durst family, and their firm, the Durst Organization, is the biggest Jewish family business to shape New York. The story begins in 1902, when Joseph Durst, a Jewish tailor from a part of Poland, arrived in America with just $3 to his name. He found work in the garment industry and, through sheer grit, became a partner in a dressmaking business. He used those profits to buy his first property in 1915 and officially formed the Durst Organization in 1927. Joseph, and later his son Seymour, focused on developing commercial properties in Midtown. Seymour had a vision for skyscrapers, transforming 3rd Avenue and 6th Avenue with a series of major office towers. The family became one of the city's top real estate powers. But it's the 3rd and 4th generations, led by Seymour's son Douglas and his nephew Jody, who have cemented the Durst Organization's place in history. Their portfolio today is immense, with an estimated value of over $8 billion. They have been pioneers in sustainable building, developing America's first green skyscraper, One Bryant Park, which even has its own power plant. However, their most defining project is undoubtedly One World Trade Center. Following the attacks of September 11th, the Durst Organization partnered with the Port Authority to help build and manage the new, iconic tower that would rise from ground zero. They invested their own capital and expertise into the project, an undertaking that was as much a civic duty as a business deal. Their 10% stake in the tallest building in the Western Hemisphere is a symbol of their commitment to New York's resilience. From a tailor arriving with $3 to a name atop the city's most important skyscraper, the Durst family's journey represents the pinnacle of the immigrant dream. From the fabric that clothes our actors to the food that defines our culture, from the glasses on our faces to the magazines that shape our ideas, from the hotels that welcome the world to the very skyscrapers that form our skyline. The story of New York City simply cannot be told without the story of these 10 families. They are a testament to the power of the immigrant dream. They are stories of resilience, of starting with nothing and building a legacy that lasts for generations. In a city that prides itself on constant reinvention, these dynasties are the anchors, a living connection to the city's rich history and a foundation for its future. They didn't just build businesses in New York, they helped build New York itself. If you found these stories as incredible as we did, subscribe for more deep dives into the legacies that make our cities unique. And let us know in the comments, which of these family stories surprised you the most? Thanks for watching.